So I was watching this video, and this man was discussing his child who's been recently diagnosed with autism. And the language that he used rubbed me the wrong way. So I decided, instead of being upset, to educate. One of the things that my journey as an autism mom has taught me is that everyone has their own preferences. Even individuals who share the same difference disagree about what language they prefer. So when in doubt, defer to the individual. Now, I know that's not always plausible because sometimes the person can't communicate their preference. And that could be a result of their age, proximity to the speaker, or the very thing that makes them different. Some people living with differences prefer the term disabled. Some prefer handicapped, and some just prefer different. I get it. As a society, it's hard to know what language is even preferred. We come to an agreement about language, and within 5 years, it changes. However, we can all agree that some words, like the R word, is absolutely unacceptable when we're describing people who have intellectual challenges. There are people on the spectrum who don't like to be referred to as having special needs because every last one of us have needs that are special and individual to who we are. There are people on the spectrum who don't like to be described as autistic. But generally speaking, in the medical and psychosocial world, the language has become person-centered. So what does that look like? Well, instead of saying that Anna is blind or Anna is autistic, you would say that Anna is living with autism or Anna is living with a visual impairment, because Anna is much, much more than her diagnosis. When describing what it looks like for Anna living with autism, you don't say that Anna is low or high functioning, because each and every one of us is functioning. The word function means to describe something or someone's purpose. A person who is living with autism is absolutely living a life that is purposed. They are purpose. And there's nothing low or high about it. The purpose for which they were created cannot be reduced to scientific inputs and outputs. The secondary definition of the word function. The real point is their function shouldn't be compared to anyone else's. Because if we are all living at our highest level of ability, we're all functioning highly. The language has shifted. We need to shift in how we talk about autism or any other difference. And the people living with those differences shows up in how we treat them and the resources that we make available to them. Individuals who are living with autism require support, and how much or how little support they require is dependent on who they are. And put that way, you realize that every one of us requires some level of support. How much or how little is dependent on who we are in the areas where we face the most challenges. So an individual who's been diagnosed with autism is a person first, living with a difference that requires a certain level of support in some area. And most often, they don't require the same level of support in every area. I'm the mother of a degreed and credentialed chef. She was on the honor roll from kindergarten to senior year. She attended college on a scholarship, and she's getting ready to attend another one. She owns and operates her own small business and works just about every day. And at work, she's called chef, not autism. The level of support that she requires is primarily in the social and emotional arena. But she can run circles around the average person in math, chemistry, theology. Her ability to organize and her attention to detail is unparalleled. And I would hate for anybody to compare my level of functioning in those areas to hers, because then I'd be the one who's low functioning.